Teacher's Corner, and this is another edition of Take Two.
Well, Demetrius, we're here for another edition, but today's going to be a little bit different. Can you tell us what we're going to see today?
Absolutely. You know, one of the critical things about a successful classroom teaching experience is the way in which you communicate with parents. We talked in our last episode about how important it was to call parents. So we're going to talk about 3 different scenarios that you'll find yourself in as a classroom teacher. First, we have the positive introductory phone call. This is the phone call where you just reach out, you let the parent know that you're there and that you appreciate the parent's support throughout the school year. The second conversation will take place as a result of a behavioral correction. In some way, the teacher has to reach out to the parent to let this parent know that their son or daughter has some
issues.
Some issues. That's it. And how do we go about that? It can be a very difficult and a very delicate situation. We'll show you how. And finally, we're going to give you a scenario in which you reach out to parents so that you can gain their support throughout the school year.
So, Demetrius, you're right. I think this is going to be a very important addition for you, our teachers out there in the community. Nothing's more important, it seems at times, than calling parents. Good communication is a key component of successful teaching. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
So with that said, we'll start with our first scenario. And that scenario is, once again,
the positive introductory phone call.
And we're going to be introducing to you one of our coaches that we work with, Miss Kathy Cerdan.
Gotta make a couple of phone calls here. Second, third day of school. It's about time to reach out. Let's see what we can do here. Hello, is Miss Cerdan there?
Oh, yes. One moment. I'm just walking in the door.
Hi, I'm Mr. Signer. I am your son Brian's teacher.
Hi, nice to hear from you.
Yeah, hey, it's the second day of school, and I just wanted to say that your son has really been a positive participant in class so far, early this year.
That's a relief. Thank you for saying that.
Well, yeah, he's really had some positive things to say. He works well with the others at his table. And he even led the line to lunch earlier this afternoon.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you.
Well, actually, I think the thanks goes to you, because without your support, I don't think, it would be much more difficult for your student to succeed. So I just want to thank you for your support so far this year, and I look forward to a great school year with your son and as well as with you.
Well, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate everything you do for my son. Thank you.
If there's anything else I can do, please remember to contact me via telephone, email. I also have a new app called Remind, and if you're interested in getting updates about progress in your school's education and my classroom, please feel free to sign up for the Remind app.
Oh, I would love to sign up. Thank you. That's a great idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, I look forward to working with your son, and I look forward to your support throughout the year.
Thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate that. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, I'm just calling to let you know that your son, Brian, has been a very positive participant in my class.
Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that. Thank you for saying that.
This has been a very promising year, and again, I remember you earlier this year at Back to School Night, and it was great to meet you in person.
Wonderful to meet you too.
Yes, and with Brian, he has really shown some strong strength. He's quite the poet, really, and he's a very creative writer.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, but unfortunately, there was a little incident today as we were heading out to lunch. Brian was towards the front of the line. Normally, he leads the line, but every now and then we rotate. So Brian was a little upset that it was not his turn to lead the lunch line, and he actually shoved another student.
Oh no.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he knows that that's against the classroom rules. It's against classroom expectations. So Brian's going to have to spend some detention time with me after school.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry he did that, and I'll speak with him today when he comes home.
Great. If you could just remind him about positive conduct, and I'm sure you will. I'm sure you always instill in him that he's got to be a positive role model to the rest of his peers, and I'll also remind him of that. So what I'm glad to know is that you're here to support, and we're both here to make sure Brian succeeds.
Well, thank you. If there's anything else I need to do or I could do, please let me know. I really appreciate your phone call. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and it's the least I can do. It's my job, and again, I think Brian is a very intelligent young man. Usually, always a joy to have in the classroom. So.
Thank you. I will speak to him tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye. Hello, is Miss Surden available?
Yes, speaking.
Hi, Kathy. I hope you don't mind if I call you Kathy.
Oh, no, not at all.
It was great to see you at Back to School Night last week.
Oh, likewise.
And Brian is generally a very good-mannered young man. Like I said, he normally leads the lunch line before we go to lunch. And he's also shown quite the gift as a creative writer.
Go good.
Unfortunately, there was just a little incident that we had to deal with. In fact, I rotate the lunch leader so that other students had the chance to lead the line, and Brian wasn't too thrilled about that, and I saw him actually shove the other student who was leading the line.
Oh, no. Now, I'm thinking, did the other child do something to instigate the problem? I'm sure my child was just defending himself.
The other child was standing straight to lead the rest of the class into the lunch area. Brian normally has that spot and was upset about it. The other child merely stood there while Brian shoved the other child.
Well, that's unusual. My Brian is usually perfect. He usually doesn't do things like that unless somebody else prompted him to do it, or instigated something. He was just reacting to what the other child must have been doing.
Yes, Brian is normally a very well-mannered child, and oftentimes I consider him a leader, which is why he does lead the lunch line most often. However, the child was in Brian's usual spot, so that's what upset Brian.
I see. Well, we are in a situation where we have to work together. I will, speak to Brian tonight and see if there was a better way that he could have handled the situation.
Thank you very much. I think with your re-emphasis about making very good decisions, Brian is sure to make a better decision next time.
Thank you. I'll be sure to talk to Brian tonight, and hopefully this will never happen again. Thank you for your phone call.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, Miss Surden.
Hi, yes.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the year, and I was just wondering if maybe you would be available next weekend for the school field trip.
Oh, the field trip. What would I need to do? I'm not used to having to look after so many children at once.
Well, luckily we will have 2 other teachers who are also chaperoning and another parent. So though there are a lot of kids and it's a large place, there's plenty of adult supervision. So really your presence alone will be all that's necessary.
Well, okay, well, I'm a little nervous. What if there's an accident, or I lose a child, or somebody gets sick? I'm not sure I'm capable of handling those problems.
Oh, well, that's perfectly natural to feel that way. It does seem like a lot of responsibility. But the students have signed release forms, so their parents are aware the students are away on the field trip. I also make sure that the students line up before boarding the bus, and we take roll, and make sure everyone's accounted for, so we don't leave the school grounds before everyone is accounted for. The students have been trained on how to enter the bus, how to leave the bus. They have been told exactly where to report, and we're even going to have folks at the park who are going to direct students and lead them through the area.
Okay, well, I feel a little better now that I have a little more information. Okay, well, the answer is yes, and I will try my best, and hopefully we'll all have a good time and have a safe trip.
That's the key. It'll be a safe trip, but the bonus is it'll be a fun trip.
Thank you so much.
Well,
we'll
thank
see you
you.
then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it, teachers. What did you think? Calling parents doesn't have to be an impediment. Demetrius, what did you think?
I think that for a lot of parents, getting a phone call home from the teacher can be very intimidating. It can be stressful. So it's the teacher's job, as they have so much going on in their lives as parents, with jobs and other commitments, for us to first put the parents' mind at ease, but also let them understand that we're a team. And whatever the issue is, or whatever the reason for the phone call, we're going to work together to make the best interests of their child and our student met.
Well, here's our special guest, our fellow co-worker and coach, Kathy Serta, who played the role of parent. Mm-hmm. Kathy, you've had to make quite a few phone calls, I imagine, in the years you've been a teacher and in the classroom. What was it like for you when you started making calls to those parents?
Well, it's nerve-wracking for the teacher as well. You know, we're not sure how the reception is going to be, and we never know if we catch the parent at a bad time, or we don't know what happened right before we called. So it's always good to, whatever the parent says, if it's negative or if it's hard to take, don't take it personally. Try to see it from their perspective. You don't know what happened beforehand, or maybe they're just taking it out on you. You just happen to catch them at a bad time. So try to always to focus on the facts and the child and what's best for the child.
Did you ever have a phone call that didn't get off on the right foot?
Yes, I mean, you have clues too. You hear babies crying in the background. You hear other children screaming and yelling, and you know that there's a chaotic environment, and you know that the parent is dealing with a lot, and the last thing they want to hear is maybe something that's not quite perfect or positive about their child. So we try to always stay focused and positive and don't take it personally.
You probably don't think about it always, but the parents do have a life. And we have to remember that. Out of the three of us sitting here, I do have children, and so I get to get those calls from the teacher to the parent, and that's me. And even though I know better, oftentimes I find myself getting angry at the teacher, like, you don't understand my child, or you don't understand everything they're going through. Demetrius, when a parent is being resistant, as often I am when I'm talking to teachers and I'm in the role of parent, what do you do to help diffuse the situation and pull them on your side?
Right. Well, I can't tell you how many times, in first contact with the parent, that they say, "Okay, what did he do this time?" That's why it's important to always start with a positive. As you saw in all three of the scenarios, we start with a positive. However, when there's an issue to be dealt with, whether it's behavioral or otherwise, maybe it's cheating on a test, the issue has to be dealt with. The important thing, if you start with a positive, you diffuse about 80% of the potential for conflict. But then you just stick to the facts of the issue. And in my experience, starting with a positive, sticking to the facts, and then ending with a positive almost always becomes a successful conversation. And then we can take steps forward so that the teacher wins, the parent wins, and most of all, the student wins.
I imagine those are similar comments that you might make. What have you found that works best with resistant parents?
Sometimes parents are resistant because they feel helpless and they feel like they don't know what else to do. And many parents look at the teacher as the expert, and they would like us to somehow help them. So if we can speak to them in a way where we're helping each other and for the betterment of their child, I think it diffuses some of their anxiety and some of their fear, and they know that there's another person there that's helping their child.
Speaking as a parent, it's not always easy to get there, but it sounds like that if I had either one of you calling me about a concern that had to do with one of my children, I'd certainly feel really good about the call, and I know you'd make me feel really at ease afterwards. So, is there any other things that we've missed, or any other things we want to say to the teachers who might be watching this video?
It's just important to reach out to parents. Keep making those phone calls, and just let the parents know that you're on their side.
Yes.
But it's also important that they understand they've got to be on our side as teachers as well.
Well, Kathy, you get to join us. Let's see if you can play along. From us to you, this is
Take two.